Good evening. I would like to call the September 23rd, 2024 regularly scheduled board meeting to order and ask that you join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And would you now please rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. And now we'll have Director Knight read our mission statement.
The Waterloo schools will set the standard for urban education by ensuring that every student is given the comprehensive support and diverse experiences needed to graduate with a diploma and a plan.
Thank you, Director Knight. The next item on our agenda is information from individuals and delegations. This is the opportunity where those who wish to address the school board may do so. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. I will hold up a yellow card when you have 30 seconds remaining and a red card when your time has expired. At that time, I will ask you to conclude your public remarks. Please also keep your comments respectful and constructive. We're all here with the goal of trying to help our students. Please also avoid criticizing the job performance of specific employees of the district. Personnel matters are confidential and must be handled through the proper channels. Finally, we provide this as an opportunity for public comments, but it is generally not a back and forth conversation, especially of items not on the agenda. At times, we'll try to help with information before or after the meeting, but we must proceed with our board meeting agenda items. With that, I invite anyone who wishes to address the board to please come forward and start by stating your name and home address. Can you make sure the green light is on, please?
Susan Paget, 153 Linwood. And I just really wanted to speak in support of the new high school.
Can you make sure the green light is on, please?
It's on.
Oh,
Do I really have, is that better?
Yes, we just want to make sure that people that are viewing remotely.
Okay. Susan Paget, 153 Linwood. I just want to speak in support of the new high school. I've been in the district 34 years now, and I know the good things that can happen by providing our students easier access to the programs at the WCC, and I know it will strengthen the WCC to have students there and able to take those classes without it negatively impacting their choices at our East and West high schools. So I was here anyway, and I thought I'd just say, go one Waterloo High School.
Thank you.
thank you.
My name is Joshua Jaby. I live at 2919 Cherrywood Lane. My son Gavin goes to West High School. I wanted to address the board today. We as a community and as a school district have an epidemic with the kids utilizing like nicotine vapes. And my son has been a victim of this, and he's had incidents at school, be it through West High and Expo as well. I just wanted to make sure that the board was fully aware that even though the state has their the way we discipline the students that are caught and what follows as the discipline is progressive, how easy it is for our students to purchase these. In Waterloo, any gas station other than Quick Start Casey's, it is just as easy for a 17-year-old student to walk in and buy a vape as it is for him to buy a candy bar or a 20-ounce bottle of pop. And you guys might see that it's one kid here, one kid there being caught, but if you pay attention to the students on the street, the students at activities in their social circles, it's probably 80% of our students are utilizing this. And I've went as far as to reach out to my elected officials. I started with my mayor and my city council people. Then I went straight and emailed Kim Reynolds' office. I got no reply from any of them. So then next, I went to Derek Wolf, Bob Kressig, Tammy Powers, Jerome Amos Jr. Not a single reply. The only person that replied to any email that I sent was Chuck Grassley. So I feel like we're missing an opportunity to redirect our kids. So, sorry, I get a little emotional because my kid is dealing with some stuff involving this. But I think instead of personally, we're missing an opportunity to redirect them into some form of treatment or counseling, or maybe an opportunity for like some community service. Give them a chance to earn their right, their opportunities that are being taken away from them back. So, my son Gavin this year, he got his third incident. So with his third incident, that he gets a 1-year suspension from all sporting activity outside of school. So like say if he was out for football, he's suspended, he can't participate for a full year. As a senior, that basically eliminates. If he has any opportunity to play sports beyond high school, that basically eliminates that opportunity completely with a suspension. So, and I would like to urge you to maybe take a second look, to maybe reach out to some of these other elected officials that aren't listening to me, just a regular parent. You guys have way more pull than us parents do. And your voices need to be heard. So, that's all I got.
Thank you. Is there anyone else this evening that would like to address the board? Seeing none, we'll move on with the agenda. Thank you, sir. The next item on our agenda is a donation from John Deere for the purchase of second grade First Lego League Explorer materials. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education accepts with gratitude this donation in the amount of $12,741 from John Deere to purchase Cargo Connect kits for use in second grade classrooms throughout the district.
So moved.
Second.
And I'll give a little information of this, and we have, let's see, Amy Schmidt is the contact, and Ms. Sale. So, beginning with the 2021-2022 school year, second through fourth grade classrooms in all 11 elementary buildings started implementing First Lego League Explorer. The first set of materials, Cargo Connect, were purchased through a STEM Scale-Up Award. The following years, ESSER funds purchased the third grade materials and fourth grade materials in 2023-2024. So we believe we have STEM coach Aaron Sale just to give us a little bit more information on this.
I also have Mindy Schmidt here from John Deere with me as well. So yeah, like Aster had shared, we've been incredibly lucky to have Lego League Explore in all second, third, and fourth grade classrooms. Something that we had discovered through our meetings as well is that those kits, we kind of hit a point where like, it's time for some new ones. And we're able to get all brand new kits, but the same theme, that Cargo Connect theme. So the second grade teachers don't have a new thing that they're learning. They've been doing it. It's been successful. And then this will replace those kits so they can have a good quality experience. And they have a different theme each year. So by the time they're done with fourth grade, they've gotten to explore 3 different years. And we've really taken away that barrier of don't have transportation or don't have enough coaches. It's every single kid. So we're incredibly thankful to John Deere with all the support that they've given us.
Hello, Mindy Schmidt, Community Relations Manager for John Deere. It's a pleasure just to be a part of this. We continue to be a strong partner. We saw an opportunity, and for us, it's really investing in the next generation. So we're just going to continue to collaborate in all the different spaces, and STEM being one of our most favorite ones. So thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for each of you. Mindy first. Do you have a specific goal in terms of a portion of your funds that you allocate to different communities for education? Do you have an educational goal, or how does that whole process work?
To go over the high level support of it, we have 3 focus areas, 3 pillars. One is community engagement, which is the basic needs for humans. So that's making sure they know where the next meals are coming from, or the 4 sound walls to make sure their basic needs are met, or essential needs. And then workforce development is our second pillar, which is really where education and equity falls into. And Waterloo Schools is one of our primary support areas. It aligns with our focus on the underserved. And you have up to almost 11,000 amazing students that we see as future generation, whether that's working for John Deere or others here in our wonderful community and state. And then the last piece would be economic development, to make sure that our community can be a place where individuals are able to thrive. So we don't actually have allocations percentage-wise, but those are our 3 focus areas. Does that answer your question?
Pretty much. Is the scope of your responsibility Waterloo area or more corporate?
Cedar Valley.
Cedar
Cedar
Valley.
Valley. So
Okay.
my responsibility is Community Relations Manager for John Deere Waterloo. We have 5 different locations here, and my role is to represent John Deere as a collective whole for the Waterloo campus to the greater Cedar Valley. And we do support some of the surrounding counties as well. It's reflective of where our employees live and work.
Well, we certainly appreciate that, and we need it very much, so thank you.
Thank you.
Erin, can you talk about the after school, how does that work?
So with this being Explore, this is not after school. So this is in the classroom. So we've eliminated that. So this is the 4th year that we've had Explore in the classroom. Prior to that, it was run similar to our robotics teams, our first Lego League Challenge teams, where it's an after school, and there's just a set number of students that would be able to do that. Now, this being the 4th year that we've been able to, all classrooms, every single kid, and it's built into their science and STEM scope and sequence. So this year, like we've got our Amplify Science, we'll do those units, and then 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade will do their Lego League Explore units at the end of the school year.
So how often does an individual student engage in this?
So I've got it set up, it's like 4 to 6 weeks,
Okay.
depending, yep. Every classroom, and they do it exactly the same in each of the 2nd grade rooms, 3rd grade rooms, 4th grade rooms.
Do kids like it, or are they more ambivalent?
I think they really enjoy it. We've had a lot of successes. I know many of you have been to the buildings when we have our celebrations. We've seen, I think the impact that we're seeing with all these kids doing this in the classroom is that we're also increasing our numbers of students that are on Lego League Challenge teams, and that's open to all 4th and 5th graders. So 4 years ago, there were 5 of those teams. I just added the 24th and 25th on Friday. We have at least 1 team at every building right now except for 1, but I'm still working on meeting with someone tomorrow. And so to that, to go from, 5 to 25, potentially 26. I think that's, kids are interested, they're seeing it in the classroom growing up. And then, oh, I want to do this after school, which then feeds into they're wanting to do FTC at the middle schools. And those numbers are increasing, and we've got a team at all the middle schools now. And then robotics and FTC at the high school numbers are increasing. We just want to see that, filter up. So I think they're greatly enjoying it.
Are the gaps on forming the teams coaches, or what's the biggest gap?
Coaches, funding, we're also incredibly lucky with John Deere, with JD Inspire. We fill out the John Deere grants and have that. And again, Waterloo Schools, one of the very few places in Iowa that I've managed to talk to anybody that provides a stipend for the coaches. That's not commonplace in the state, I'm finding. It is still finding the people to do it, and it's a time commitment. You're having at least one practice. It runs a week. It runs through the whole first part of the year. I always tell people, like, once you do it, you kind of get into it, you're gonna love it. We had a lot of people return this year and continue coaching, but it's still finding the people, or they're maybe intimidated by the technology piece of it, which in the end, what we want is more of a facilitator anyway. Like, it's the kids doing it. The kids are figuring it all out. You're just kind of guiding them along the way. And we've also got support with John Deere. Once we have all dates and times for those practices, I send that to Mindy, and then Mindy's gonna push that out for 4 weeks to John Deere employees to try to get mentors to come in November and support those teams, so.
That's great. This is probably a stretch, but is there any correlation you can see between kids wanting to come to school on the days that they have?
So I wouldn't have like exact data on that, but I would have conversations I've had with coaches, administrators. Even last year, one student that sometimes would struggle during the day, and when I had talked to that building principal, said the days that there's practice, this kid is on. Like, he's ready to go because he wants to be able to stay. We know some kids don't have something that they feel necessarily connected to, and this can totally be their thing. So, yeah, again, not set data, just conversations.
Thank you.
I think the little kits and all that things, they're very, I think, stimulating for, learning. I really see, how much they can just kind of intrigue yourself with how things work and stuff. And I think it's just a great
Absolutely.
growth pattern to, have a kid that's still, messing with them, because it just stimulates, it's like, oh, what if I do this or this? And it's really,
They're excited. I'm excited. My daughter's a second grader at Kingsley, so I'm like, she gets to do it this year.
yeah,
So, yeah, it's
fantastic.
great.
I just want to say, I just want to reinforce the commitment. We definitely appreciate that. We think Legos is nothing, but actually it's a lot. I remember I had my Lego set, and it was like, how many ways can I do this? And so it definitely inspires minds. So, John Deere, with you guys' commitment, and also the commitment of going from 5, you said, to now 20?
25.
25
25.
teams. I think that's a testament of we're doing, it's something right. So
Yep.
I just want to say thank you for your
Yeah,
commitment.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would like to add as well, I've had the honor and privilege to work with both of these women. And I'm really humbled to say how proud I am of you, particularly Erin, to begin with, and just the recruitment and the programs. Just pushing that and supporting and providing support to teachers during PLCs. When we started to offer this in the classroom, I got to see you in action to do that with implementation. That matters, so thank you. And Mindy, I can't say enough. Just your overwhelming support for our kids in the Waterloo Community Schools. We can't say thank you enough, so thank you to both of you. It matters.
I'd like to say we definitely make a very good team. So I really appreciate you letting me borrow Erin to make this happen, because at the end of the day, it's all for the kids, and we really want to make sure that we have a long-standing commitment. We've been here for over 100 years. We hope to be here for many, many, many more, and so we just can do this together. So thank you for the opportunity.
And I'll just reiterate what everybody has said. We're extremely appreciative of the support and the continued support of John Deere in our community, and all that you do. So we appreciate it. Proud John Deere alum here. Any more questions or comments? All those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. Thank you again. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is a donation from R.J. McElroy Trust. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education accepts with gratitude this donation in the amount of $8,900 from the R.J. McElroy Trust for the 2024-2025 Youth Emergency Fund as presented.
So moved. Second?
And we have our own Jeff Summerfield can give us a little bit more information. I know this comes up.
Yeah.
It's not the first time, so if you can give us a little information on this.
The program's probably been in the district for about 25 years. We've changed the process. The last couple years, we used to send in more of a bi-monthly report to the foundation, and then the schools that were low on funds would get funded. We changed the process a little bit where now, at the beginning of the school year, the foundation, based off of last year's report that we send them, send us a larger check for the year to start us out. It funds certain schools that are low on funds, but the program's set up for all of our schools. And then mid-year, when we start getting a little low on funds again, we send a second report typically and get a second donation from the foundation. And they've just been fantastic to work with, just the people working there with us. And in the program itself, it meets a lot of really unmet needs otherwise in the school district. We buy a lot of winter coats and hats and boots for students. We bought things like personal hygiene items. I remember one year somebody wanted to go out for track and couldn't afford to get shoes, that we bought shoes. They've just been very generous and very supportive of our family support workers who deal with the students, and it's just an excellent program for our district.
And this year's schools that were receiving funds will be Becker Elementary, Bunger Middle, Carver Academy, Central Middle, Cunningham School for Excellence, Expo High, Highland Elementary, Hoover Middle, Irvin Elementary, Kingsley Elementary, Kittredge Elementary, Lincoln Elementary, Orange Elementary, Waterloo Career Center, and West High. Do we have any questions or comments? Again, we're extremely appreciative of the R.J. McElroy Trust group and all they've done and continue to do within our schools and our community as well. Like I mentioned, this is, and Jeff mentions as well, roughly about 25 years or so they've been participating in this program, the Emergency Fund Program. It's not always the same buildings that receive the fund, but the funds are set up for each building to receive something based on need. So we're extremely appreciative of this, and we're gracious to the R.J. McElroy Fund for all the things they do in our community and for our schools. So seeing no other questions, all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carried. Thanks again. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda consists of 3 items. Approval of minutes from the September 9th, 2024 regular board meeting. Item 2, personnel appointments and adjustments. Item 3, bills due and payable and bills paid between board meetings. Are there any items that board members want removed from the consent agenda?
Item 2, please.
Item 2, personnel appointments and adjustments. Can I get a motion to put items 1 and 3?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carried. That brings us to item 2. The superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
And I believe Lyle had pulled it and had a question.
Yeah, I think as of last meeting, we were doing pretty well on the staffing. We had a few vacancies here and there, but only maybe one or two in regular classrooms and then some special needs.
Yeah,
Can you just give us an update on it?
yeah, we had, I think it was, and it's unchanged from the last board meeting. So
Okay.
we had 15 total, and 11 of those were special ed, I believe. And so the 4 that were not are all at the secondary level. Elementary, general classrooms completely full for this year in terms of staffing, so.
So how are those 4 being covered?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it could be could have combined a section or maybe not offered a certain, I'd have to see exactly which,
Okay,
even within the content area, within, say it's math, whether it's algebra or geometry or something like that, I'd have to
okay.
dive deeper into that to know.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions? Seeing none. All those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. This brings us to the next item on our agenda, and this is, for information only, this is the first reading. Oh, I did.
Yep.
See, I'm ready to get out of here. The next item on our agenda, item 9, Special Education 2024 Modified Allowable Growth Request. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the request to the School Budget Review Committee for allowable growth and supplemental aid of $4,639,197.95 for the negative special education balance for the 2023-2024 school year.
So moved.
Second.
And we have Megan Allen, Director of Special Education, and Sunny Hart here to give us a little bit more information on this. Thank you, ladies, for being here.
Yeah, no problem. Jeff, did you want to go first with
Yeah,
a little
I
explanation?
certainly can, yeah.
'Kay.
There's quite a bit of the information's already in the board agenda document that's prepared for you guys. This is an annual request, although we don't always participate in this. It depends on our special ed program and if we have a deficit at year end. So once the certified annual report is completed, which is due by September 15th, we know whether or not we have if we have a special ed deficit. And in this case, this year we did, so we're making this request. Just as kind of a general comparison to other school districts, about 90% of the school districts in the state of Iowa do have a special ed deficit and do make this request. There was an unofficial survey kind of our region with different CFOs, just to report what they were going to be requesting or where they ended the year. So nothing real official, but based on the information that I received from other districts, Waterloo's about the 6th highest in this area or for this region. Our request is a little over 5 million. The highest request was from Des Moines at just over 16.1 million. So for the size of our district, this is a reasonable request. And again, I want to point out that this does not raise any additional dollars to our school district. It just increases our authority.
Okay, so Sunny and I put some data together just to kind of draw your eyes to tonight, just to give more context into our growing need of special education in Waterloo. So if you could turn to the side that says K-12, special education staffing, we're gonna kind of just run through that side first. So as you can see, we have 3 items here. The light blue is our number of IEPs. Our darker blue is special education teachers. And then the pink is our paras. So over time, over these years, you can see that we've had a pretty steady increase in our students with IEPs. Right now, like if you're looking at like our number where we're at right now with students with IEPs is slightly lower than where we ended the year last year. That's just due to it's crazy time, and we're crunching numbers for certified count. So I expect that to be the same, if not higher, when our certified count is complete. That's one main point we wanted to draw your eyes to. The second part is that when we switched IEP systems in the 21-22 school year, there's a new structure and process for weighting students. So you might hear like level 1, level 2, level 3. Based on those levels, kids generate more dollars. So we don't have the greatest data on that right now due to the change in the IEP systems. We're still cleaning up some kids and what their label or what their weighting is. So to articulate the need, Sunny and I have put together this table to show you how we're responding to the needs of our complex students. So the first column, if you will, that says elementary, those were our programs. Some buildings maybe 3, some buildings maybe last year. That's how our structure was. But then if you move into that next column, here are all the ways that we've strengthened our programming in our elementary schools to meet the needs of our complex students. So you've heard, I know at least Irving Elementary present to you guys on their use of flex rooms and how that flexible way of serving students can meet more complex needs. So that's one example to like tie in your brain. Many places are doing that. They may not call it a flex room. They may call it K1 intensive. They could be any name, but essentially they're adding in programs to meet the increasing needs of our kids. Sunny, anything you would add to that?
Yes, I would just say, as a building principal and you're designing a previous building principal in my previous role, and you're designing what that special education service should look like at your individual building. There are many times when you have a group of kids that come in and you're like, well, the level of need that they have is really hard for your regular typical special ed teacher, but we're not quite there yet to our district program teacher or where our district programs are in the district, because they're not at every building. So buildings are getting creative with the staff that they have to serve that special little pocket of kids. And it feels like those pockets are growing and they're coming in more, and the numbers of goals that they have, the level of diagnoses that we're tackling is just requiring our buildings to get creative with how they're serving kids and adding these pieces to their building continuum while we're still evaluating to see would they qualify maybe for some district programming. So you can see some district programming when I see the words intensive, win, flex. There's buildings that don't necessarily have a district extended core program, but they have someone that can offer the services to their building boundary kids so their kids don't have to go somewhere else. That's happening in some of our buildings. So I just think it shows the complexity of our babies that are coming in to our schools now and how we're trying to just meet them where they're at.
Thanks, Sunny. It's definitely something that I am very proud of our buildings. In the past, historically, our principals and our teachers would have been very reliant on an extended core program or a behavior-focused program when a student shows some of those needs. And now we're in a space where our first thought as a building is, what can we strengthen here first before needing extended core or behavior focus? So that took a lot of mindset work, but as you can see with all of these additional programming options, it's a really high point of pride for us.
So what's extended core and what's behavioral?
Yep, extended core is for our students who are significantly cognitively delayed. And behavior focus is more just on that like behavior side. They may not have the cognitive need, but just more severe behaviors.
Could you describe, starting with day one, how a student is identified that they need evaluation for an IEP?
Sure.
Who does the evaluation? How long does that process take? And how does it end up?
So I'll talk about on the pre-K side. Sunny, you want to talk about at the building level, like what that looks like?
Day one, a child shows up and we are getting our processes and our routines and our procedures in place in the classroom, and we are noticing already in the first few weeks of school there's something that doesn't look typical with growth, with how they showed up, with the needs that they're presenting for a regular classroom teacher to meet those needs. All the buildings should have a team of people that is called, like what most buildings call it, is a solutions team. And so that's the team that you go to that has your experts. So you could have some literacy experts, some math experts, some behavior experts, a counselor, some special education experts. I'm me, gen ed, second grade teacher. I'm gonna come to this team, I'm gonna say, hey, here's what's showing up right now. Something's not typical. What do I do next? How can you help me? So then we're putting in interventions. We're talking about what is that thing that's not typical. Is it an academic thing? Is it a behavioral thing? And then we're gonna put some interventions in place. We're gonna work on those interventions, and then we're gonna check in and say like, hey, are they working? Are they not working? Sometimes they work and they're like, okay, keep on keeping on. Sometimes they don't work. And so we're like, what do we need to add next? So when we get to a point, a time point, and we're like, ooh, we're still just spinning and we are not seeing the progress that we should with the added interventions in alongside what's already happened in the classroom, we're going to check in with our folks with the AEA and see if, and the family, this is a constant conversation with the family, is there medical things, is there other things, all these things are coming together, and we're gonna say like, hey, should we evaluate further? And if all that data put together is a yes, then we do that. That could take.
Evaluations are 60, we have 60 days to complete an evaluation. If the child is found eligible, then we have, can you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry.
Step up. Yep.
Evaluations take 60 days to comprehensively do that. And then if the child is found eligible, then there's 30 days to write the IEP for the child.
So you got 90 days total?
If you don't, yes, once we've signed that consent for evaluation. But as Sunny described, there's all these things that took place before that team reached the point where they wanted to suspect a disability. So, but once consent is signed to evaluate, that's what starts the ticking clock of
Does it
the
usually
60
take
days.
90 days, or is it a lot of times happen faster?
Yeah, I think it depends on the kid and the immediate need for services sometimes is more evident than others. And we all know that there are students with high behavior needs that, we expedite. We get through that evaluation a little bit quicker because we see the services that they need, or like a student in extended core. We might, some of those needs are a bit more obvious, and so we get through that evaluation a little faster.
I just think about, is that 90 calendar days or 90 school days?
Calendar.
Okay, all right, that makes me feel a little better.
Yeah.
How long do IEPs generally follow students? Is it from the time that they're put in place till graduation, or do they?
Most, yes,
What's up?
but not all.
So is the solutions team, that's an all-district team?
Every building has their own solutions team.
So the AEA doesn't get involved until,
Correct.
and so, what's the responsiveness of the AEA?
I would say once we get that consent for eval, their timeline starts, and they're very responsive then in those moments, because that's what starts, that's pretty clear, like a starting time for them.
The consent for evaluation, that comes from the solution team.
The AEA. So the AEA has to collect the consent, get the consent from the family.
Ultimately, it's the family to sign off then, right?
And if they don't, then what?
Then we're in this land of continuing to do what the solutions team has found to be most successful for that student until we can get that consent.
And then does that initial evaluation determine level 1, 2, or 3?
Yes. Yes.
How much challenges do we have getting consent sometimes, particularly with some of our newer students from other, maybe there's a language barrier or something that might.
I would say it's rare if we have a problem getting consent signed. It's not common
Not
to
common.
have
Okay.
that
That's good.
refusal or that's not common.
Oh, good.
Do you have data on the numbers of one separated, you've got the total number here, 1854, but do you have the breakdown each year that you could send of level 1,
Yeah.
2, and 3?
I can. Just know that with our change in systems,
Okay.
yes, but I can highlight that for you.
So what's the classroom, what's the day look like for a level 1 versus level 2 versus level 3 student?
Well, first of all, I want you to think of number of goals. So a kiddo that might be discrepant and has a reading goal, maybe that's all they have. The rest of their day, they're just doing their thing in the classroom. That's gonna be less energy because there's just one goal and I'm focusing on this one domain area. We also have kids that might come in and they have a communication goal, a reading goal, a writing goal, and a math goal. That's 4 different goal areas, 4 different interventions that they're receiving, a speech person that's gonna come in. That could be a level 2 kid. It could be a level 3 kid, depending on how many minutes has been decided on which one, each of those goal areas. So there's just a more dance of how I'm going to make sure that they're getting all that they can get out of the gen ed classroom with a plus more to add to where their discrepant area is to continue to get them to grow and to close this gap, if you can close the gap that's between them and their grade level peers.
So this is a pretty large deficit. So like a level 1, what's the extra staffing that would be required for a level 1, versus 2 versus 3?
Yep. So typically, if we have a full roster of level 1 students, that could be about 15 level 1s could make up a full roster. I say that like with a caveat because our students that are showing up in our elementary, particularly kindergarten right now, would not fall into that level 1 category, and we have no awareness of them. So like it's just we have this pocket of kids that we aren't aware of, and then we have to figure out where to put them. But if we're talking just like kids that we know of, level 1s, about 15 would make up a complete roster. Level 2s, it just goes down smaller. That could probably be somewhere around 10, 11, 12. Our level 3s, 8 or less. But we do have 11 vacancies right now, as we just said. So those rosters, in some cases, are larger than the recommended because we are short-staffed.
So I'm just trying to translate the needs into staff, which translates into dollars. So
But
this is a pull-out, the extra staff is it like a pull-out program?
so, yep, in the tables that are that are visually displayed for you, yes, most of that additional programming would be removal from the gen ed setting.
For just an
Our
hour
level
or
2s,
two?
level 3s.
An hour or 2 or all day?
It could be both. Depending on the need of the kid, it could be the whole day, or it might just be half the day in certain chunks.
So is the issue that the weighting factor is insufficient for the extra costs we incur? Or what's the root?
I wouldn't say it's the waiting. I think right now with the switch of systems, the AEA is still catching up on. They had to essentially go through kids that were level 3 and do a matrix by hand. So they're just behind on completing that process. I personally think that if you flip to the preschool side, I don't know if you've got a chance to see that yet. But this is where a lot of our staffing is needed right now, is in our preschools. We've significantly added both teachers and paraeducators due to the needs that we're seeing in our youngest learners. And this evaluation process, unlike K-12, takes place before the students start at school. So some kids are evaluated in our preschool programs, but most of the kids are evaluated in a clinic setting or even at their home. And that bar for eligibility for special education is pretty low. Like, if you aren't meeting infant and toddler standards, it is a high likeliness that you are going to be identified and need special education.
Okay, one last question, I promise. Does the AEA charge us on a per hour basis, or do we just pay a fee, and regardless of how much we use them, how does that cost fit into this deficit?
Right now, for special education, it's just as it always was. That's no change has been made there. We don't have any special education related services that are fee for service.
Okay. I promise.
You sure?
I'm done. Thank you though for your,
I appreciate you mentioned, I think it was Lowell that came and presented to us about the flex rooms. I appreciate the adaptability of each building being able to provide the services for those students that are in need based on the need. So just being able to adjust. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, they've done a lot of really hard work to adjust at the building level, so.
And
Yeah,
the complexities that are coming in with our tiniest kids, it's a heavy lift right now. They are just really complex, and it just takes a lot to figure them out, to give them what they need, to reach the mile markers that we would assume a baby that's 3 or 4 would have coming in, you know.
Any insight to why it's changed over time?
I think right now we're still it's still the COVID babies that have been home. Most of the kids that are being identified right now as 3, 4, and 5-year-olds were home, and little to no access to daycare, in-home daycares, centers of any variety. So
Post-COVID still.
we're still there.
And in addition to that, for the prior years, portion of the special ed teacher expenses, para expenses for their salary and benefits were paid out of ESSER. So with those funds going away, over the last few years, those expenses have gone up greatly, and now we've lost that additional funding that helps support the program. We're seeing that not just in special ed, but in other areas as well.
That and schools are being asked more and more to raise children and deal with their problems, and the job of a special education teacher or a paraeducator isn't as appreciated or as well paid across the country as it should be, so those are all really tough problems.
So just a couple quick more comments here. We had a UEN meeting last Friday. It was the one before you got in. Esther and I were in 3 different.
I got in.
And it's not just the Waterloo thing. I just want to be clear. We're just seeing some eye-opening data after COVID. You've seen the attendance data, right? It doesn't make sense. And this isn't just a Waterloo thing, it's like a nationwide thing. How did attendance really increase? Attendance issues really increased 3 times, 300% since COVID. Doesn't make sense, right? There's just so many things. At some point, somebody's gonna come out with a huge groundbreaking study that explains how COVID had an impact on students. The other thing you're hearing is with our early childhood, right? And so something that Megan and I discussed in our weekly meeting last week was, for me, and I'm a secondary guy, right? So I don't always know when I go into elementary settings, like, oh, is this normal? But one thing that has,
We don't speak little.
right? It's like, okay. One thing that's caught my eye is going into like our our preschool and kindergarten room is just like the needs of the students and how hard it can be for teachers to keep those kids engaged. And so I was actually gonna, and I told Megan I was gonna offer, like, set up some tours to go visit classrooms so you guys could see. Because if I'm looking at this, it's like, well, geez, you got so many. The amount of staffing that we have that's committed to the early childhood seems high, but if you go in and take a look, and I'd be willing to like set up a tour, like for everyone to go and just kind of, and then get the explanation from Megan, like, okay, tell me who is this para serving? Is this para serving one student, multiple students? I'd be more than happy to set that up with you. So just keep your eyes out. I'll have Pam set something up. I would like to do it with a few of our DLT members too, as we're talking about staffing, because that's come up. There's been an ask for additional paras, which is tough as we're trying to be mindful with our budget, but then you walk in these classrooms and I'm like, I don't know how sometimes a teacher can teach without more assistance. So I'm gonna invite a few DLT members and board members if you'd like to come. Again, it's more just Megan and Sunny teach us. Teach us what we're seeing here, what why, whether the support's in the room, and explain how why we got there. So just kind of keep an eye out for that. We'll set something up.
I know we've had a lot of comments, but I'm sitting here wondering, as a community member, how we can engage with some of those processes with the younger generation coming up. Growing up, we always talk about that village, and I still think that village is really important, even though we may not see it as much. So I'm wondering how, within the community, we may be able to help with these youngsters, kind of coming up through and starting schools and things like that.
Yeah, and we've started having a lot of those conversations too in the community because of the number of kids coming straight from home to special education, and there's not that access of any kind of middle ground. So that is something that we've identified as well, and like, let's get some parent education out there.
I think too, like if you also combine the increase in technology and COVID, I taught kindergarten for 10 years, so I was in that world, and it is a much different world than when I was in there 15 years ago, right? But when you just take a walk, or you're out at the grocery store and you watch how many of our little tiny babies are on a device at the grocery store, in the car, at the restaurant, on a walk out where you should be looking at the leaves, like, it's different. The world is different, and it's impacting how they're developing and how their brain in this like crucial 0 to 5 years time frame. What's happening here, and now we are seeing it and experience it in a different way in the classroom.
You're saying we need more Legos and less electronics.
Absolutely.
No, I do appreciate your comments, because that was one of the things that, being a non-Iowan, that when we came here and had children, that, our oldest son, had some early struggles, and, our doctors identified concerns. We got services way before he started school, and helped put him on a better a better path forward, be getting those early services than he would have been just starting fresh at kindergarten. And, we do have, programs and tools and resources to help children if we, like you said, get them identified sooner and start getting at. Every year you start ahead, you just change the slope of that curve of where those students might end in the end, and I look at it for him, I look at his reading, he did in high school on grade level, and that was not something we thought would be the case when he was, 2 or 3 years old. So we've seen it firsthand, and do appreciate the work that goes in to get there, because it wasn't an easy task, but it was, in the end, well worth the effort. So
In addition to having to raise kids now, as I said, we're also having to teach kids to learn to survive being bored, because they have those devices all the time. And if you don't know how to survive being bored, you're going to end up anxious and depressed. And so that's another task that we've asked our teachers to do, is to teach kids to survive boredom.
I guess I just want to mention on the simple fact, appreciate you kind of bringing this information. Definitely appreciate Dr. Smith mentioned about possibly for us to be able to go in and take a look at some of these, just see what's going on, getting more educated about it. I see it more at the middle school because I deal with middle school, and I'm here to tell you technology, even though it's advanced, it really has hindered our children's learning, especially in the classroom. And so in turn, that hinders the teacher to be able to get across what they need to get across. Like you mentioned, this is kind of a national thing, but we do have to at least put some eyes on it and possibly some solutions.
Any more comments, questions?
I just want to say thank you. With my new role, Megan has been instrumental with just me growing myself personally in a different lens, and the addition of Sunny this year and all the work. You really are getting into the trenches and asking the right questions, but also helping us build our continuum. So thank you to both of you, because we know it's not easy work. So.
Yep, I'll reiterate that. And be prepared when you come up to see us for about 15 minutes worth of questions. Each time, so be prepared. Bring your lunch.
Not because we want to catch anybody doing anything wrong, but we are so interested in learning how we can help and what we need to know.
Absolutely. And we appreciate all your work on this as well. Jeff, you as well, too, so thank you for that. Any more questions, comments? Y'all got off kind of easy then. So all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carried. Thank you, ladies, again. The next item on our agenda, board policy changes, first reading, and this is for information only. As Pam mentioned in the past, as she's mentioned in the past, the next couple of board policy changes will be pretty lengthy. I'm just trying to get caught up on some board policy changes and associated with IASB. So the following policies have been reviewed by the district leadership team and the policy review committee, and they're being presented for first reading. And our very faithful assistant to the superintendent and board secretary, Pam Arbendorfer, is the contact person in her absence today. So if there are any questions, we'll try to answer. If not, we can email Pam. Like I said, this is the first reading, so these will come before us again in 2 weeks. So if there's any questions on these board readings. None?
I guess I will ask this question, sorry.
Yep.
I was looking under the superintendent's role, and it said something about is responsible for scheduling the use of buildings and grounds for all groups and organizations, and approves vacation schedules for all employees. Is that, like, do you schedule those different things? How does this work? I'm kind of confused.
He has people who do that for him.
Well, that's it. So it may be listed here, but it may.
What page are you on?
What's the specific number?
57.
It's 303.
It's under 302.4. Down there, it says responsible for scheduling use of buildings and grounds. I was like, so are you hired? You have someone do that for you? Like, hey, I just thought that was kind of strange.
Doesn't Dan Huff and Lorelei handle most of that?
Yeah, they
Okay.
actually, they do the scheduling of our facilities,
Okay.
yeah.
I know because I've applied for groups.
So we
I'm-
probably
I'm
just
looking-
need to
I'm
add
looking for
something
this-
that says or designee
Right, okay.
Designate.
in the policy, which would then, that's typically what
Well,
is
ultimately,
in policies when it's another administrator doing.
ultimately, the superintendent is responsible for everything.
I mean,
Yeah.
right. And I
Yeah.
understand that piece, but I thought that was very detailed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm like,
think
oh, so
when we
here
come
it is.
back to the second reading the next
Okay.
time, it should be added like or designee, and that
Okay.
would take care of it.
Okay.
So we need to.
On, you said, what page?
It's 57, 302.4. I don't know. Let me see.
Yeah.
Put it over there.
far down? How far down bullet point? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, it's about 9 or 10 bullets down.
Yes, that is, for athletic facilities, Laura Lee and Dan. So there is a designee, so we just add that language.
Or is it covered in the last piece of it there?
In the intro?
No, like,
Are you talking
But
about
here
where
it
it
says
says
the
the board
board.
may
the
delegate,
board,
Jesse?
board may delegate, will consider a district.
Maybe that's what it means. I'm not totally sure though.
Yeah, normally it would say designee in place of where it says the board. So we would direct the superintendent would direct that department, and they would have a designee, which is
I wonder
most
if
of the time
it's
Laura Lee.
just crossing out the word board and putting superintendent in that last paragraph. I'm not
And
sure.
Just like a lot of the policies we're doing, I'm looking at straight from the IASB like reference manual. So that's a unique one, and I'm not saying IASB is always perfect. That's kind of a weird one, but I'm pretty sure she's just copying. what
May
she's
have them
given.
follow up on that one, just take a look at how
That's
it's. Maybe she just needs to reach out to ISB, like, how is this intended to be interpreted?
Or maybe we end up suggesting a change to the ISB.
Yeah.
On page 40, exempt meetings, item 2. Can somebody give me an example of that? To discuss strategy and matters relating to employment conditions of employees not covered by collective bargaining unit. What?
So if there were things to discuss about our other employee groups that were, sorry, this microphone's a little funny hanging off there. If we wanted to discuss employment conditions with the board for other employee groups, such as administrators or administrative support, if we were to do that with the full board, then we would do it in exempt session, similar to how we do our ones about negotiations.
So the conditions,
Yeah, that's good.
what conditions?
Conditions could be
Good work.
pay, benefits, rules, policies, procedures, et cetera.
Okay, thank you.
I was really highlighting, sorry. There was another one on page 72 where it says the board will employ building principals and other administrators in addition to the superintendent to assist in the daily operations of the school district. I was under the impression we were just in charge of the superintendent and then I guess I don't know how that works.
What page are you on?
Page
72.
We do not employ building principals, we the board.
We actually do because we
Yeah.
approve them.
Okay, so that's the.
So, yeah, they come through the board.
We don't direct them, but we
Yeah,
employ them.
we don't
Oh,
direct
okay.
them, but we do
Fair.
employ them.
Okay,
Yeah.
So hopefully that was helpful.
Yes.
So anybody that comes through the personnel appointments and adjustments, we approve them. Make sure we writing these notes down for Pam. She gonna get me.
Jeff's working on that too, right? Yep.
All right, are there any more questions on board? And this is, like I said, the first reading, so we'll have an opportunity to vote on these in a couple of weeks. And if there is any more questions, you can also email Pam with specifics. Okay, so the next item on our agenda.
That was information only, sorry.
Yep,
sorry.
that was for information only, so no vote. The next item on our agenda is the superintendent's report.
Just a few updates here. Thanks to Aaron and Mindy for coming to talk about Lego League and all the all that leads out of all the Lego leagues that we do in the Lego type events in our schools. I agree. I think some of you have had the chance to see. I know Amy's been out and seen some of the when the parents get to come in and see like the final projects, it's pretty cool. The kids are super engaged. Some incredible things. I was actually over at Highland the other day when school let out, and there was a Lego League that was meeting at the end of the day, and just some great engagement by students who may not normally be engaged in those activities. Is really cool to see. So I appreciate your support, John Deere support on all those activities. Mayor's Fun Run was last week. Was a warm one. I did not run this time. Megan ran, who was just up there speaking with her daughter. She's in 4th grade, but a really cool event that promotes wellness to our students. Beauty Fits actually got the kids stretched out and kind of did a fun little song and dance with them. So it was just a really cool event. We'll make sure to put that on your radar for those of you who didn't get a chance to go this year, but another cool event in collaboration with not only the city of Waterloo, but also I think it's Kiwanis Club that has the volunteers for the event. So last but not least is our town hall. We had our first town hall last week, thanks to the board members, DLT members, district leadership who came out to Carver. We had that meeting I think it was last Wednesday. Our next one is tomorrow night. This one will be at Bunger Middle School. We'll be in the gym. Got seats, got enough chairs for 200 people set up. Now we'll see. We'll see if we need all those, but it'd be great to have the folks, especially if Evansdale, Raymond, Elk Run, Gilbertville, kind of on that side of town, to come out and check and get their questions answered. And we're gonna try our best to answer questions that we're hearing from some of those community members. So looking forward to that. That's tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. And that will be number 2 of 7. We've got one for each of the 7 weeks leading up to the vote on November 5th.
Nice. Thanks, Dr. Smith. And now for information from board members. And we'll start with Director Ewing this evening.
Only a thank you to all of the teachers, because I know how hard that job is, and you are the engine of education. There's nothing else, the curriculum, the school books, anything else that matters in addition to what the parents do at home is what you do in the classroom. Thank you to all the DLT and administrators for all the hard work you've put in on the new school project, because I think that's going to attract great teachers and enable our great teachers to do even better work. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Director Ewing. Director Matlock.
I had the opportunity to attend the 20th annual Ring of Honor Festival celebration on, I don't know, one day last week. I think it was Thursday of last week. It was awesome to see. Everyone was very proud of that honor, and it was just the program was excellent. To see the history within that space and the pride it was just awesome to be there. And I too want to thank John Deere for the Lego kits. My son and his Legos, I remember stepping on a few of those, but I know how important it is to that creativity piece, and so I appreciate that, having it within the classroom, and the students don't have to, stay after school or come in on a Saturday or anything like that. Also, thank you to the R.J. McElroy Trust for the Youth Emergency and Opportunity Fund. You never know when a student is going to need, a pair of shoes, glasses, whatever the case is, so I truly appreciate that. And I just want to leave it with a quote: education is the key that unlocks the door of endless possibilities. Please come out to the town hall meetings and get your questions answered. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Matlock. Director Cox.
Green light problem. I'd just like to concur with everything that's been said earlier about teachers and paras and their hard job, and it was just kind of being informed a little bit that it's a struggle in the classroom, and so as a board member, definitely give support for that, and to all the administrators and everyone that's dealing with them. The other thing is we had a kickoff for the middle schools and the 2 high schools, and it was just great seeing some of the talent search students. It was great to see more interest with students that want to be part of talent search and everything. It's just a joy every time kind of going into a school and just seeing kids. Kids want to learn. Kids want to learn. So I'm a big backer of that. The other thing is with the Career Center. Kudos to the Career Center and what they do. As you might know, I have a son that goes to the Career Center, and to be quite honest, I've seen a great change in him, and our conversations about the Career Center. And so kudos to the Career Center and everyone out there. If my son's talking about it, I think there's other kids too talking about it. So, let's keep up the momentum of being able to dream and discover a lot of things. And yeah, that's what I have to say today. Yeah.
Thank you, Director Cox. Director Knight.
Yeah, so it's just some interesting feedback on, we made, one of the key moves we made, this year was some Expo kids relocating to the WCC, and, I know a student that decided to take that route and just had a tremendous experience so far, and positive turnaround for his academic career. So seems like there's already reaping some benefits from that change, and hopefully maybe we'll get an update on how they feel like that program's going. I think we haven't really heard much yet, but it'd probably be good to hear overall how that transition is going. And through 9 weeks, are we seeing some successes and significant improvements there? So that's all I have.
Thank you, Director Knight. Director Schmidt.
Yep, 2 items tonight. The first is, I understand Bill Kmeyer passed away yesterday. He was a former board member, Bill Kmeyer, former board member and board president for a number of years. Long time ago, but I remember. So condolences to his family. My soapbox item tonight regarding merging high schools with the Career Center is that the fact or the statistic that Waterloo is the 3rd highest free and reduced lunch district in the state, with only a very small school, Postville, and a medium-sized school, Marshalltown, having more free and reduced lunch. This is not a trivial statistic. It takes more money, takes more effort, takes more staff, because free and reduced is correlated with some of the special attention, special needs that we heard about tonight. So it just costs more, and the system isn't quite set up to do that equitably. So we need to leave no stone unturned as to how we become more efficient. Not because we need to become more efficient in that particular area, but money's kind of universal. So if we can become more efficient in any area, it helps all areas, especially the special needs portion of free and reduced lunch. So it seems like our greatest opportunity to improve efficiency is eliminate duplication that we have in our high schools. So I guess I ask that everybody consider that we want to be as efficient as we possibly can. If we identify in any area, we ought to act on it, because it will help all areas, including the taxpayers. So that's my soapbox item for tonight. Yeah.
And that was a short one. I was expecting a little more.
Didn't have enough time to put your thoughts together.
Oh,
for your
gee.
portion.
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, Director Schmidt. Thank you. I did have a couple of notes. Thank you to the individuals that spoke We appreciate you coming in and expressing your thoughts and concerns in front of us. Very appreciative of the John Deere and the R.J. McElroy Trust for their continued support of the district and the students and families of our district. I'll give a quick WCC and Expo update from my point of view. I've had the opportunity early in this school year to go to both. So with the WCC, I've seen students in my day job. I work with high school students, and I've seen students at the Career Center this year that I don't think, I want to make sure I say this in the most sincere and enduring way. I'm happy to see the population of students that I'm starting to see at the Career Center this year. And in having conversations with these students, a few of them didn't think early on that was a possibility for them. I've seen some PBDA students utilizing the Career Center. I've seen some students from different backgrounds utilize the Career Center. They're proud to be there. They're happy. They're enjoying it. And so they're telling me that they'll tell their friends about it as well. So, and that goes along with my Expo update. I've had the opportunity to go to the Expo site a couple of times as well. And they're enjoying the new space, the new building. A few of those students are participating in or taking classes, taking advantage of being on that campus and taking classes at the Career Center as well. The cosmetology department is a huge draw, along with automotive. You can look from the top of the Expo site and look down into the WCCX, and I see a group of students hovered around a vehicle. And all the troubles I've had with my vehicles in the years, I wish that was something that I took advantage of when I was in high school, but I was doing other things. But that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for, to be able to see a different population of students, the students that, in my mind and Director Schmidt's mind, that the Career Center was built for. Not necessarily your four-year college-ready student, all students, to be able to have that opportunity and that access and want to do it and be pushed to go that route. So I've been pleased in this month with some of the students I've seen at the Career Center and just having conversations with them. I want to give a couple of dates. East High homecoming will be October 4th, Memorial Stadium versus Mason City. The varsity game starts at 7:30 p.m. The next time we'll be in this room will be on October 14th at 5 p.m. As Dr. Smith said, Tuesday, tomorrow, September 24th from 5 to 6:30, Bugger Middle School for one of our town hall meetings. Following that, Thursday, October 3rd from 5 to 6:30 p.m. at the Waterloo Career Center. On Monday, October 7th from 5 to 6:30 p.m., Hoover Middle School. On Thursday, October 17th from 6:30 to 8 p.m., Antioch Baptist Church, 426 Sumner Street in Waterloo. On Monday, October 21st, 6:30 to 8 p.m., Prince of Peace Lutheran Church, 4031 Lafayette Road in Evansdale, Iowa. And on Monday, October 28th, from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at Hope City Church, 118 High Street in Waterloo. Make sure you come out If you haven't received all the information that you're looking for, that's a perfect opportunity for you to do so. Let your voices be heard in anticipation for the November 5th vote on the one high school. So I believe that's all I have. With that being said, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
That was a hesitation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carried. We're adjourned.
Too early to leave.
No,
Hey, hush your mouth.
I need.